But addressing this issue is politically challenging. Elected officials are hesitant to suggest any changes that could lead to benefit cuts, even though that could reduce their options in the future. The program shortfalls are back in the spotlight this year as Joe Biden, House Republicans battle over how to address the nation's debt ceiling drama and mounting budget deficits. GOP lawmakers want to cut spending in exchange for resolving the borrowing limit, while the White House has said it would no longer negotiate this. Though Biden has repeatedly vowed to protect Social Security, his latest budget proposal did not include a plan to stabilize his finances. His proposal did call for extending Medicare solvency by 25 years or more by raising the taxes on those earning more than $400,000 a year, allowing the program to negotiate prices for even more prescriptions. Folks, this shows one thing. Joe Biden has to do something quick for the American people, or else people won't be getting the stimulus checks they need, and that means people will be going broke. There are two main provisions that lawmakers are debating on. These provisions can increase or decrease monthly benefits for the millions of Social Security and SI recipients. The next monthly batch of monthly checks are set to go out in just one day, so continue watching this video to not miss out on this. Because nearly 8 in 10 Americans said in a new poll they would oppose the federal government raising the full retirement age for Social Security from 67 to 70. The new poll shows that 78% of respondents said they would oppose the move, while 17% of those surveyed said they would support it. It comes as Democrats and Republicans have debated on the country's safety net programs, Medicare and Social Security that is. Republicans have proposed this, everybody, and they're facing some challenges in it. Republicans have proposed a series of changes, and now the recent battle started brewing after Joe Biden called out Republicans in his State of the Union address, wanting to sunset both Social Security and Medicare programs, that is. Now, Social Security, along with Medicare and Medicaid, makes up nearly half the federal budget, with a total annual price tag of $2.7 trillion. When asked whether they would support raising the full retirement age for Social Security from 67 to 70, if it meant that benefits would last longer, 60% of respondents said they would still oppose the measure, while 30% of those surveyed said otherwise. Many of Social Security recipients can expect a second payment before the end of the week, as their recipients have received 2 benefit disbursements so far this month, and the first SI disbursement on March 1st, and a regular Social Security payment on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, depending on their birthday. According to the SSA, the third disbursement is due on Friday. There's typically only one SI payment each month, but if that day falls on a weekend or holiday, it arrives on the last business day before the end of the month. This also means there won't be SI payments in April. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid make up half of the entire federal budget, with a total annual price tag of $2.7 trillion.
He went to bills, and this time he is lucky to be able to do a little something nice for himself. Another DMV resident telling us on Twitter she's, quote, not doing anything particularly interesting with her check. Those eligible getting $1,400 payments or more for married couples and those with children. If you have the ability to put the payment toward other things, financial experts say setting aside some money to reward yourself can be...
And they will definitely bring down inflation. They will cause some pain to households and businesses and bring some pain to them because that's just how it is. The Fed has hiked interest rates for 4 times, and this year already in an effort to stanch price increases. When the Fed raises interest rates, money becomes more expensive to borrow, harder to get, and more worthwhile to save. According to The Hill, the Fed wants demand for goods and services to fall closer to supply, which has dwindled as a result of obstacles created by the crisis. In an ideal world, the Fed can raise the interest rates gradually enough to bring down inflation without slowing the economy. But economists generally agree that inflation has risen too high for the Fed to bring it down, without causing at least some hardship. And the Fed's rapid rate hikes will bring an end to the 2 years of rapid wage growth, record job openings, and remarkably low layoffs. The U.S. still added 315,000 jobs last month, and wages rose 5.2% over the past year. But economists do suspect that some job growth is going to be slow and the unemployment rate to rise as businesses feel the squeeze of higher interest rates. That means many more workers who have not yet gotten back under raises will not get one and may have few other unemployment options with better compensation. A round of relief checks are expected to be mailed and deposited to millions of people. These payments can be worth up to $270. The lawmakers have already announced new plans for their state, and they will provide residents an extra boost of money. So friends, more and more stimulus checks are going to be sent out. That's official. New York Governor Kathy Hochul and legislative leaders announced that a stimulus payment of about $270 will be sent to 1 million New Yorkers to combat inflation and improve the affordability. The New York Department of Finance and Taxation will soon begin directing financial assistance to New Yorkers. They who received the Empire State Child Credit or the Earned Income Credit on their tax returns. New Yorkers can expect to receive the checks by the end of October. The Hochul said, "With this relief package, we're making good on our commitment to helping hardworking people in New York through the nationwide affordability crisis. The program will put money back into the pockets of nearly 2 million New York families to make ends meet and face the crisis, inflation, and other rising costs." Hochul and members of his state approved the additional New York State Child and Earned Income Tax payment. The program provided an average payment of $270 a month. Eligible New Yorkers do not need to take any action to receive the checks. Checks will be mailed automatically. Early this year, Hochul accelerated the distribution of $2 billion in tax relief to more than 2 million New Yorkers through the new homeowner tax rebate credit. Hochul also announced a statewide gas and diesel tax holiday to provide New Yorkers relief at the pump as fuel prices have hit record high. According to state officials, New Yorkers who have recently moved should update their address with the Department of Taxation and Finance. To prevent delays in receiving your additional state checks, your additional state child and earned income tax payment check. Colorado is also mailing and doing their work with 700
likely to continue for quite a while. But as usual, it doesn't seem to concern Democrats one bit. The president was asked Tuesday if he was concerned about August's even worse than expected inflation report. His answer? No, I'm not. It was just one more tone-deaf moment for the president and the Democrats. On Tuesday, the president and Democrats gathered at the White House to congratulate themselves for having passed their so-called Inflation Reduction Act, a bill that will do nothing to reduce inflation. And that's not just my opinion, Madam President. That was the conclusion of the nonpartisan Penn-Wharton budget model, and of the Democrat chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, who referred to the bill as the so-called Inflation Reduction Act on the Senate floor, while admitting it would do nothing to solve our nation's inflation crisis. But that didn't stop the Democrats from celebrating yesterday. For most of us, of course, it's difficult to understand what there was to celebrate. Leaving aside the issue of the 40-year high inflation, we already know that the bill will also fall short in another respect, on deficit reduction. Democrats' claims that the bill would provide meaningful deficit reduction were always somewhat dubious, but even granting Democrats' rosiest assumptions, President Biden wiped out any deficit reduction when he announced his massive student loan giveaway 8 days after the Inflation Reduction Act was signed into law. So no inflation reduction, no deficit reduction. Oh, one other thing. And the Inflation Reduction Act will